OMG. This is my third time trying this video, and yeah, each time I try it, I just find something that's driving me crazy, and then I'm like, I've got to do it over again. And it has to do with my outfit. So first of all, let me explain why I'm doing this video today. I am doing this video because I want to share a process that I think is very beneficial for finding peace, calm, happiness within the brain. And so that is the purpose of this video. Tomorrow, Saturday, I will be finishing up my somatic EMDR certification program. It's been an incredible 9 weeks. I'm actually very sad that it's done because I've been working with about 700 different people from all over the globe with 4 professors that I feel so blessed to have teach this program, because they are all 4 of them very different, very smart, the best of the best. And the thing that I like the most about them is that they're human beings. They don't have giant egos. They're funny. They make fun of themselves. They're very self-aware, and they've just been awesome. So that's tomorrow. And what somatic EMDR is a mouthful, but it stands for eye movement, desensitization, and reprocessing. Desensitization is, well, first of all, let me just step back for a second. There's something called REM sleep. Some people have heard of it, some haven't. But REM sleep is the deepest form of sleep where most of your healing occurs, and it stands for rapid eye movement. So if you've ever noticed anybody who is in a really deep sleep and you're almost certain that they're dreaming because their body is twitching and moving around, and you might be able to see, like, when their eyes are closed under their eyelids, their eyes are rapidly going from the right side to the left side, right side to the left side, right, left, right, left. And there is science that shows that people that go into REM sleep are like 40% more creative than people that do not engage in deep REM sleep. And what's happening here is the brain's healing, the brain's digesting the day, and activating both the right side and the left side of the brain, which are really important for integrating what happened in your day in a healthy way, because your right side of your brain is responsible for certain things and your left side of the brain is responsible for certain things. So what you're doing with EMDR is you're taking REM sleep and you're applying it within this awake state. So your eyes are tracking something, whether it's the practitioner's fingers and you're having them just look at your fingers. Sometimes people hold tappers. Sometimes there's like a click, and like you hear the click go from like the right side to the left side, or like paddles that you can put in your hands and those vibrate. And I know it sounds like some serious woo-woo stuff, but raise your hand if you've had woo-woo shit work. For some reason, some weird stuff actually works. So I am going to suggest that you try this and experiment with this and don't give up on it too soon. I'm going to take a little breath here. Little somatics for myself. That was the EMDR part of my program. Somatic EMDR is bringing EMDR, I think, to a whole different level of healing and possibilities. We're adding the somatic piece, which is tapping into what's going inside our soma, what's going inside our body. So feelings, sensations, where is tension being held, what needs to move. Are we too hyper and we need to figure out ways to calm down our nervous system? Are we too hypo aroused, where we need to ramp up our energy in some way because we're too shut down? And so that's the somatic part. We're not just looking at a memory, but we're looking at our body and listening to what it wants to communicate and what potentially needs to occur to, sorry, just burped, to heal. So that's the somatic EMDR. I also want to preface the fact that I am coming to you live from Costa Rica. I came down here to get a little perspective on my life and try and, not look at just the tree of my life, but step away and look at the forest, the whole big picture from a little bit of distance so I can see what's next, since my life has been upended from long COVID and just learning that I cannot return to public school educating because of the levels of germs in a 600 body building, just the stress that comes with teaching. You're multitasking like 60 things at one time. And as much as, my brain kind of plays with the idea of returning, my body just is screaming no. So I'm down here in Costa Rica and I'm very sweaty and hot, and my hair is huge and frizzy. And in all honesty, I absolutely love it. I love the heat. I love the humidity. It just feels like so nurturing, and my shoulders just drop. And I don't have to work so darn hard to, slug it out through the northern Michigan winter. So yeah, I love it here. And I spent my whole morning immersed in the Tico culture, running around, running errands with the family, and speaking Spanish all morning. And my brain needs a massive break from the Spanish. So I thought I would make this video. All right, returning back to the topic. So the first thing I want to do is I am going to share a poem that I think is quite beautiful, and it pertains to this topic. Poetry is a great way to activate the right side of your brain, which is that emotional, creative part, in a world where we tend to lean more towards the left side of the brain, which is the problem solving, the doing, the intellectualizing, the math mind. And then this is more of, the being, the flow, the creativity. And so I'm going to share a poem by Rumi, who of course has the most beautiful poems in the world. And I just think this is so pertinent. So this poem goes, don't think. Don't get lost in your thoughts. Your thoughts are a veil on the face of the moon. That moon is your heart. So let them go. Just let them fall into the water. So yeah, it seems like this poem pertains to exactly what I'm talking about, because they talk about how your thoughts are a veil basically over your heart. So your thoughts are getting in the way of feeling your heart, feeling your feelings, feeling your sensations, more of that somatic experience of embodying what it feels like to be present in your skin. And this is exactly what I am working with right now, is more of that embodiment practice. So I'm going to stop that. And then I'm going to share something that I've shared before. And I hope I'm recording here. I'm about to freak out if this isn't recording, but I'm going to roll with it. So this is something I shared before. And this is from Ian McGilchrist, and it's called The Divided Brain. And so it educates people on this concept that the right brain's responsible for certain functions, the left brain's responsible for certain functions, and the functions can be either positive or negative, depending upon if they can stay integrated in balance with one another. The right side of the brain, as it says here, is that it sees the big picture. We'll see like the whole big picture. It identifies potential sources of threat. So it's looking out for problems. It allows us to feel more emotionally connected to ourselves and to others. It also can store the traumatic memories and allow us to scan the environment. And if we're too leaning in the right side, you might experience emotional flooding. So emotional flooding is that emotional overwhelm. So anxiety, fear, panic, that sort of thing. The left side of the brain is focused and narrowed perspective. Lets us see what is directly in front of us, kind of like that tree that's my life and my house back in the States. That's more the left brain, looking in at the details, the minutia of things. And it lets us see what is directly in front of us, allows us to detach from the stress in the past. Too much left brain activity leads to emotional disconnection. So that overthinking can kind of be, or problem solving or logical thinking can sometimes be a defense mechanism to not feel. And both sides of the brain serve a purpose. There is that stereotype of women are more right-brained, men are more left-brained, and I would say there's stereotypes for a reason, but I also know quite a few women that are way more left-brained than right-brained, and the same for men. And so we don't want to overgeneralize or simplify this as far as the stereotype goes, but what I'd like you to take away from this picture is the importance of trying to balance the brain in a healthy way. And so emotional thinking and problem solving can be brought together instead of just one or the other. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing that. And then the last thing I want to share, okay, good, I am recording, thank God. That was going to be really annoying if I wasn't. All right, so the last thing I want to share is this book. So this book is called Hardwiring for Happiness, and it's written by Rick Hansen, PhD, and I believe he's like a neurophysiologist. And what he talks about is what I shared at the beginning, is just our brain before all of the professional careers and intellectual way of creating and inventing occurred, and we were just humans walking this planet trying to find our next meal. Our brain's purpose was for survival. And so that is its natural default, is to look for threat, look for problems, look for ways to keep us safe. And so if that's our natural default mechanism, unfortunately, we actually have to wire happiness in our neural circuitry. And I think it's interesting that it says hard, because it is kind of hard. And it's something that you have to do all the time because of our natural tendency of our brain to want to go towards the negative or the problem or the worry and the concern. And so in order to find contentment, calm, peace, confidence, unfortunately, we have to do the hard work of wiring that into our brain. And so the strategy that I want to show you, I find incredibly helpful, and I do it myself, is this concept called uncoupling. And so you're taking two thoughts. I'm going to stop sharing. You're taking two thoughts. One is neutral, and you've just coupled this negative idea on top of it. And so, for instance, I'm working with a client right now who is struggling with productivity issues and time management, and feels like she procrastinates a lot. She's a college student. And so she's got this procrastination, which is really, truly, you can think of it as neither good nor bad. But then she's coupled that I procrastinate, I'm a bad person. I procrastinate, I feel guilty. I procrastinate, I feel like a piece of shit. So what we're working on is this uncoupling process where we take these two concepts and we tease them apart, where procrastination does not equal being a bad person. And so how we reprocess this is we actually use EMDR to desensitize and reprocess this thought processes. So for instance, we put our hands together, and what I would do is I would just start thinking about, you know, when I procrastinate, I feel bad about myself. And you're just going back and forth, looking at your right thumb and your left thumb, your right thumb and your left thumb. And you're just thinking about maybe images that come up when you look at this, or potentially emotions or feelings that come up. And your goal is to tease them apart in time as you reprocess this thought process in a healthier way. But what happens a lot of times is we don't get to move them apart. We don't feel like we can. But what can happen is that we can come to a different level of understanding and compassion and appreciation and acceptance of ourselves, because that is a whole lot healthier in our systems to experience sensations of acceptance and compassion versus resistance and stress and negative emotions. Feels way worse, causes disease, all that sort of thing. So if you can't completely be like, I'm not doing anything and I don't feel bad about myself, you're not there yet, maybe just being at a place of understanding and compassion is where you're going to land. And so, for instance, I might be doing the eye movements, going back and forth, thinking about how when I procrastinate, I feel bad for myself. And then I'm just kind of seeing what comes up in my brain. And then all of a sudden I see myself as a high school student at the all-girls school that I attended. And it just hits me, wow, I just went to an extremely competitive high school where we had to get 4.0s. We had to aspire to go to the most challenging and best universities. And it was a go, 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 push, push, push environment. And oh yeah, like I get it. I get why I feel guilty when I'm not doing anything. Poor sweet girl, like you poor thing, you haven't had the ability to rest or ever have downtime and just let yourself relax. And compassion might be coming up there. And so maybe in your physiology, you start feeling a little bit better about when you're not doing anything, that you can really truly give yourself permission to relax in that moment. And it's not that we are saying no self-responsibility, be lazy, don't do anything, don't get things done, but it is the uncoupling of those two things that are not serving you and are actually making things worse. So you just need to find your thing. And so there's so many different things you can look at. One I think of is like marriage, and awful. A lot of people, I mean, it's just the way it is. A lot of people have seen marriages when they grew up as children and just thought that just looks terrible. And so you could work with that. Like, I don't want marriage to look awful. I want marriage to look like love. I want marriage to look like peace. I want it to look like happiness. You could do that. You could be like, maybe the image is a job and work my ass off and get sick. And that, I mean, that's for me. That's probably one that it's not probably, it is one that I use sometimes when I'm trying to do what I'm doing and to potentially accept a new possibility that I don't have to work like a dog and get sick to be a professional and be in a career. So you just have to find your thing that needs to be uncoupled, and then see if you can use the eye movements to tease those things apart. And then if you can't, there is still a tremendous amount of benefits by just coming to more of an appreciation, compassion, and understanding. So thank you so much. I'm sorry the lighting stinks. I'm sorry maybe the sound isn't so great. I'm sorry if my top might be distracting, because it's distracting me, but I wish you a beautiful day, and pura vida, or pura vida, as I would pronounce it. Much love.